Everyone. My name is Marilyn Haywood Page. I am your humble host today, and I have three panelists here with me today. And I'm going to introduce them to you, and I'm going to share my screen as soon as I can do that. Or am I sharing my screen? Am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, I see the slide.
Okay, I am. Okay, I am sharing my screen. Terrific. All right, so we have Mitch Poirier. He is the president of Managed Digital Media Services. He's in Canada, and he is an expert in digital marketing. And we have Jason Swank, who's an agency advisor and coach. He is an expert in helping companies scale their agencies. And we have Andrew Lee Miller. Did I get it right?
You got it.
Who is also here. And I'm going to have him tell you who he is and what he does in just a minute. And my name is Marilyn Haywood Page, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Page Black in Denver. All right. So quickly, can we just get a couple of words introduction from each of you? Mitch, why don't you start us off?
Well, Mitch Poirier, and I started the company a couple of years ago. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a bit long in the tooth, so it's never too late. I'll be 60 in December, and I wanted to build something where I could have a lot of fun, flexibility, travel, and be virtual and help out small businesses. So that's what I really enjoy. It's my passion.
Nice. Jason.
Jason Swank. I started an agency in '99 when Al Gore invented the internet. I started running websites, making fun of my friends. And then eventually wound up designing websites for Lotus Cars and Hitachi and LegalZoom, and we sold it. And then was asked how I did everything. And that's how I kind of got into coaching agencies. They were like, how did you get over 8 figures? And I even have another agency right now that we've bought 10 agencies in the past year and a half. So.
Ah, very nice. Okay. And we have Andrew Lee Miller with us. Why don't you give us a little intro of you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm usually the oldest person on the call, but I think these guys have more experience than me. So I've been an early stage startup marketer for 15 years. I drove 3 large startup exits for a total of $450 million. And then I started my own startup marketing agency in San Francisco called Growth Experts. I'm also a coach and an advisor like Jason as well, but I work directly with startup founders and help them with early stage marketing.
Nice. Very good. All right. So what we are going to learn today, and I don't know if I'm still sharing my screen because I'm doing a little, trying to be tricky here. I'm trying to do too many things at once. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So our agenda today, we are going to talk about how you'll learn, how you will position, how to position your social media services. And hopefully you are seeing on the screen a guy with his book on his head. Yep. Is that what everyone is seeing? Okay. Tips for selling your services and best practices for pricing your social media services. So we're going to do kind of a roundtable discussion. I'm going to throw out a question and the panelists are going to answer. So just wondering in the chat, if anyone wants to say hello and tell us where you're from in the chat. And if you have any questions for the panel, you can put them in chat as well, and we will do our best to get to them. I'm going to start things off. So talking about positioning first, let me get this out. How should you sell your services? And we're talking specifically about social media services. If you're in a market where there's a lot of competition, and I don't imagine that anyone's in a market where there isn't a lot of competition for social media services, how should I position myself in a competitive market? Jason, you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, I think it really starts with not selling and kind of asking the right questions when you go about it, and kind of thinking about the right foundation. So a lot of times people go, well, what do you need? So for example, Lotus Cars came to us many years ago. It's like, Jason, I need this microsite for this 4-door car that we're developing. And everyone else started pitching them, $100,000 website for the microsite. I said, well, let's kind of step back. Let's really kind of figure out what are the goals. And I started positioning them a service that's very easy for them to say yes. So we could actually do a blueprint strategy session with them and actually build a plan, together. And that's how we really positioned ourselves, where we would win, 90% of the time. We would actually win the deal a lot faster too, because we're asking them for a small commitment rather than a very large commitment up front.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually pitched $2,500 to Lotus Cars. I know everyone's like, holy cow, everybody's pitching 100K. But if you look at kind of the long run, we started with 2,500 to sell a $50,000 website. But then we became the agency of record and made millions off Lotus Cars until the Brits took over North America and kicked us out.
Nice.
So asking questions and
positioning something very easy, rather
easy
than
to say
asking
yes
them
to.
for marriage, right? So
Gotcha.
I'm not going to go up to my wife and go, will you marry me, right off the bat? And that's what a lot of agencies are actually doing, where I'm going to make it very simple and say, let's just get together. Let's see if you're right for us. Let's see if you're right for, and vice versa, and then go from there.
Nice. Mitch, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess speak from my real life experience, building something from ground zero, not necessarily coming from the industry at the start. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if people are familiar with Chambers of Commerce, but I joined the Chamber, explained my company, my services, listed them. But then every chance I took advantage of the volunteer presentations, the topics, the blogs, and that got clients aware of my company and my services. And it was all presented in educational format, educating them about social media, business listings, SEO, all the things that are key. And from there, the leads started coming in. And since I've done that, I haven't really done like cold calls. I don't go after people. I get referrals. And that's the best position to be in. And I'm not going like Jason or Andrew. I'm not scaling to be huge. I'm scaling it for quality of life at my stage. So I'm really enjoying it. I like the freedom. And what I do is I partner with universities and colleges, and they're all screaming for work experience. So I make my company and my services available, and I mentor them for anywhere from 4 weeks to 12 weeks. And I've done 5 in the last 2 years, and 2 of them have already set up their own agencies, and we work together. So they're kind of one of my hired freelancers. So bit of a long-winded story, but that's how I got my business off the ground.
So what I heard you say was networking. You went into a networking community. You started educating. You started getting leads from that education. And then you started educating other folks to get some interns and to give them some experience, because giving back to the community. Nicely done. Andrew, what you got?
I really liked what Jason said about strong pricing strategy in the beginning. But for me, I think a way that you figure out what you should be focusing on, and a way you win is really leading with passion. So like, what elements of social media services are you really passionate about? Or I always use the exercise. People ask me, after they sell their startup or they want to retire or something, they're like, what should I be working on? I'm like, what would you do if you never had to work again? And what in social media like that really motivates you, or what are you really passionate about? And when you pitch clients something that you're really passionate about, that comes through in the message, and you have a close rate similar to what Jason was saying, 90%. Because if it's their company's money that they're spending, and they, like, it's kind of the same, they have to spend this money one way or the other. If they can spend it with the person who's passionate about what they're delivering, then I think that's what the route that they're going to go. So positioning yourself just based on what you're passionate on and letting other people handle the other aspects and things, I think is a really good place to start. And then from there, like, what are the clients asking for? So, your passion is really important, but there's data out there with all the meetings that you're doing and the pitching that you're doing. What are people asking for, and curating your deliverables or your offers around what people are asking for, and rather than trying to like reinvent the wheel and like, we do this and this. You're not asking for it, but this is what I'm trying to sell you. Right. So sell people what they want and what you're passionate about is the best strategy, I think.
Oh, that's well said. And, segmenting yourself. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. So let those folks who want the service that I really don't, it's not my jam, let them go to someone else.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys would agree, and you would agree as well, Marilyn. The more niche you go, the less competition you have, the easier it is for you, because like you focus on that niche.
Yeah.
I'd like to agree with Andrew big time, because when I started, I had a vision of all these services and it just doesn't work. You gotta fine tune it, cut it down to where you're really strong and passionate and stay there.
And I think that's, small businesses, because we just want anyone, because we're just trying to stay alive, right? So you're just like, I just want any customer. But the more you segment and the more you say, I do this and not that, the more you attract who it is that's really your customer. And, frankly, on our website, I wrote all of our website, and I very clearly say, if you want this and this, we're not the right agency for you. If you want A and B, great, let's have a conversation. If you want X and Y, we're probably not the right agency for you, because I want
my way.
Yeah, I want my website to self-segment for me. I don't want to have, it's difficult to have sales conversations in which you're just weeding out, not my customer, not my customer. If they're already self-selected, that the reason they're coming to have a conversation with me is because I've already told them on my website, I do A, B, and C. I don't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So that's a beautiful thing. And what I'm showing here is just some of the beautiful design that Promo Republic does. I love Promo. I'm going to do a little Promo Republic pitch. I love Promo Republic because it just makes it so easy to make designs, to come up with new ideas. And we design all our own stuff and we write all our own stuff, but I really love going into their designs and seeing what their designers are doing, and because they're always on the cutting edge of what's hot and what's happening in social media. So I love Promo Republic for that. So, all right, I'm going to move now into selling and pitching. We did start to touch on that. Talk to me a little bit about what should a business owner, a social media agency owner, what should they be considering when they are pitching a client? I'm not going to call on anybody.
Okay, I'll go first. I mean, I really liked what Jason said. Don't be selling. Like if it's all about creating value, marketing, sales, dating. Like Jason said as well. It's actually all the same. And I think once I realized that the focus is on creating value for others, and how, are we creating more value than any other competitor or any other person that's going to be speaking to them? Is there more value in the services that we offer, the pricing that we offer, the package that we put together for them? Then I think it makes everything so much easier. So switching that to focusing on creating value rather than pitching and selling, I think makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Think about it this way. I always think you should never pitch. If you're pitching, you're actually losing. Think about, if I push on you, right? What are you going to do? You're going to push back. And the reason why, if you think about agencies push, it's probably because they have a lack of confidence. They're really kind of like, do I have the right messaging? Do I have the right process? Do I have the right people? Right. But the prospect, if you're thinking about, what they're thinking about is like, do I think it will work? Are they trying to trick me? And so you have to take those walls down and create something very simple for them. So like when someone wants to work with me, one of my foot in the doors that we'll do is we'll say, hey, and my buddy Frank did this as well. And he'll go, look, I charge $1,000 for us to get on a call and we'll develop a blueprint together. Now, I charge $1,000, just to get rid of the time wasters. Now, I could care less about the $1,000. We make way more than $1,000 an hour, but I'm doing this to see if you're serious. Now, here's the 3 possible options that will happen. You'll love the plan that we developed together and you'll want to work with us, which is the most common. You'll love the plan where you'll go do it yourself. Or third, you won't like the plan, I'll give you your money back. So there's nothing for you to lose. Right. And then I also let them know, hey, I'm interviewing you as well, because I did a video, I was doing a podcast interview a little while ago. And about 7 years ago, I created this Oompa Loompa video. I didn't mean to look like Oompa Loompa. It was just bad quality, right? It was like the purple background and like bad lighting, all that. And I said, there's no such thing as a bad agency client. That was the title. And I truly believe in that. And all of you on there were like, oh, I have tons of bad clients. I'm like, well, they were a bad prospect or a bad process. And you have to figure that out. You have to figure, and you eliminate the pitching on that.
Right.
Mm.
Very true. I do that as well. I charge up front and give you your money back if it doesn't work out, which 0% have ever asked for their money back, but it does save you a tremendous amount of time.
I had two people ask for their money back. One didn't speak any English, and they were nothing against Russians, but we had a Russian translator. And then the other one was just trying to rip me off. And that was in 20 years.
Not bad. Not bad odds. Not bad odds. All right. Tell me a little bit more about, I loved it when you said there's no bad clients. Because the first thing I thought was, yes, there are, because I've had to fire some. But you're right. Yeah. The reason I had to fire them was because the onboarding, the recruiting, like the prospecting of them, I did not weed out before they became a client that they were a bad fit.
Right.
The process, our sales process failed us. And so, but through that process, we learned. It was a very painful learning process, but we've never had to go through it again because we learned it once and that was enough. And now we are so careful about who we take on as clients. And I love that idea of, look, let's have $1,000 conversation. And then that really weeds out people who are just not really, they're not really serious. So that's beautiful. I know I have another question here. Mitch, did you want to add anything to that?
I was going to say my position on selling or pitching, I guess, is very different. It's very time consuming. It's not the same approach as the other two gentlemen. Then again, my focus is very small business owners. So, entities that may be 1 to 25 employees. And I typically get warm leads and I'm dealing with the decision makers, and I'll invest 2 to 3 hours before I'll even sit down with them once I know they're an opportunity. And I'll research everything I can find about them on the internet. So I look at their business listings, I look at their social media, I look at their SEO performance. I do all the research so that when I do actually talk to them and I ask the questions, I already have all the data ready and I show them. And I back it up with real data. I can say, this is what you need to do. And I show them in real life examples what I've done for other clients by following just what I described. And that's given me the best success rate in closing all of these opportunities.
Nice. I'm going to segue as I'm asking another question. I need to share my screen again, I think. Don't I? Yes, I do. Sorry. I'm just showing some more artwork from Promo Republic because I think they do such a good job. There. Hopefully you are looking at some Promo Republic. Okay. So my next question is, some companies go beyond one proposal. Some social media companies will say, okay, I'm going to do 3 to 5 proposals, different packages that we can offer you. And some people just have a customized, this is what we can do for you. Do any of you want to speak to that? Mitch, it sounds like you do a very customized thing. Do you think there's any value in, like, here's a menu, column A, column B, column C? What do you think is the right approach?
Well, based on what I just described earlier, once that call is done, like our first call where we have that full-blown discussion, then based on how I feel the body language and everything's going, then I'll let them know that I'll come back with a proposal, or I may come back with a phased approach based on the discussions. Like, we'll start here and ultimately we'll end up here. So it really depends on how that meeting goes. But I definitely tailor every proposal based on how that meeting goes. So I never send out a cookie cutter proposal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it, well, I could tell you which way I lean, but there's never a positive answer for everybody. If you're a volumes game and you're going after thousands of clients, then a package deal. But then you're also viewed as a commodity. I always like to position myself as an advisor. And if I'm the advisor, I need to tell you exactly what you need to do if I ask the right questions.
Mhm.
So if I asked you all these questions and then you told me the answer and I said, well, you have option A, B, and C, that's telling them, I don't know what you should do versus going, you should go with A based on everything you told me. Right? Like if you put options, I feel that you're going to be viewed as a commodity. But look, I had in our mastermind a couple of years ago, we had a gentleman that did social media reputation management. And I'd always have him stand up at our event and tell everybody what they did. And then I would have everybody in the room guess what the pricing was. And everybody's like 2,000, 5,000. And he was like $99. And everyone would beat him up. Now he was on a volumes game. Now, David is laughing at everyone because he sold for over 8 figures and he's traveling the world with his family because he was a volumes game. So that's why I said, just because I said you shouldn't do packaging doesn't mean it won't work. It has to fit your model. So just take all of these little silver bullets now we don't give you any silver bullets, all the silver, and create your own bullet. And then you'll go from there.
Nice. What about, you touched on this a little bit. When you're in the selling and pitching process, well, I know you don't like the word pitching, but when you're in the selling process, what about that first discovery meeting? Tell me more, any of you. Tell me more about how you approach a discovery meeting with a potential client.
Mine's really easy. Questions, lots of questions. And I'm focused on them.
Why?
I'm not focused on anything about me.
Agreed.
All them.
Well, it's part of the qualification, right? So like you mentioned earlier, Marilyn, you're trying to figure out, is this a customer that I really want to deal with? Are they a right fit? And more importantly, can I deliver what I think they'll need? Because I will walk away definitely from a client I feel I don't have the skills or the capability. And I may refer them to someone else that I feel that can do a better job. So I'm totally okay doing that. But it's definitely qualification to understand, to make sure I can deliver, and if they're a good fit.
Yeah.
If you remember, is it an acronym when you have like initials that mean something? I can't remember.
Acronym.
Okay, cool. All right. Big words. I'm not very smart, guys, but I figured this all out, which means all of you can figure this out if I could. If you remember NBAT, I would always start with like teaching my salespeople this. What's their need? Does it match up with what I want? What's their budget that they have? And yes, you should ask for the budget within 15 minutes to see if you're wasting time. And I got the budget 99% of the time. You can ask me how we did that. So it's easy for you to do it. And then A was for, are they the authority? Am I talking with a decision maker? And then T was for timing. We've all had that Darth Vader call that wanted that, website for the mothership or the Death Star that wanted it last week. And you're like, oh my God, you're going to be a nightmare. So I would go through need, budget, authority, and timing just to qualify them.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a terrific NBAT. Needs, budget, authority, and timing. Love it.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew?
Going back to what Jason said about, just trying to protect your time as much as possible. And, I think when I speak to companies like Jason is saying, and you frame it all about them, they tend to remember you more. And then if they're talking to a bunch of companies that were just like sell, you stick out and they remember you and they're like, wow, that, even more when you're in that niche. Like for me, it's early stage startups. Like going back to the passion, it comes through. I ask a lot of questions like Jason said, but I also show that I understand what their problems are and what they're going through, or what they're, giving them even a lot of value and recommendations for free in that first call, I think really helps distinguish yourself from other companies.
Yeah. So it sounds like everyone here really does more. Well, I mean, among us, I mean, I don't know if anyone on the call wants to chime in, if they do more custom or if they do more of that sort of menu pricing, if anyone wants to tell us in the chat.
I give a couple options sometimes, but I make a very clear recommendation. Like Jason said, I want to, I've seen this movie before. I had a client a few years ago that kept saying, we love about Andrew, he's seen this movie before. And I love that line. I should put it on our website or something. But it's really true. If you're approaching a new phase of marketing you've never done before, you want someone that has done this and been down this stressful path before to help you guide the ship. So if you're giving them a bunch of options, like, I don't know, you pick whichever one works for you the best. Like Jason said, it just shows that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So, but having said that, with early stage startup founders, a lot of times they have had a successful business in the past. Even if it wasn't a startup, they're coming from a construction industry or real estate or investing, and they have money. And so they don't want to listen to every recommendation, which is a very difficult thing to deal with. So I go, look, this is what I really recommend for your phase or your stage, but there's a couple other options. If you feel like you really want to spend more and you want to go faster, then by all means, here we can also do these other things. So you give them the illusion of choice, or not the illusion, but the opportunity to ignore your professional advice, which might be a sign of a bad prospect. Like Jason said, I was taking notes mentally on that one. I think, as you decide, to level up your agency and, you want to scale to outside of a certain threshold, you might have to take on some of those prospects that you're like, you know what, I'm actually not super passionate, or I'm not, they might be a little bit difficult. And, that's a give and take that you have to take to get to a certain size. And, that's just the way of the world.
So I'd like to jump in for a quick second. I do on my website, and part of my whole vision was getting Promo Republic, because I love Promo Republic. And I built my infrastructure on it. So I do have commodity pricing on my website. So I have like, a $30 package, a $55 package. And I basically look at my Promo Republic branded MDMS as the unique selling proposition to open the door. So typically I'll get that inquirer, and this is where after that it grows into the consulting, advisory role, additional services. So just make sure that, some of the people thinking of building agencies, it's always good to have something as kind of a unique selling proposition that pulls them in with that reoccurring cash flow, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think we're talking a little bit about is when you are selling a particular, so you're selling a solution, like here's the solution we have for you, as opposed to here's a menu of options. I think you really have to build that trust of, I do know what I'm talking about. This is the right solution for you. I have understood your challenges and your obstacles. I do understand your market. I do understand your industry, and this is the right solution for you. That requires really building that trust. One of the ways that we do it in our sales process is we have a whole part of our sales process that's education. And what we always say is, whether you work with us or you work with someone else, I'm going to leave you better than I found you, because I'm going to teach you some of the rudiments of social media, of marketing, of whatever it is, so that you can make a better decision. If that decision is to work with me, great. If it's not, great. I just want you to get the right solution. And here as an expert, I think I know a little bit more about marketing than perhaps you do, although many clients don't think that. They come to you for your expertise and then tell you that, we love that. So what I try and do is just educate them on, like, here's basic principles. Here's how to frame this. Here's how to look at this so that you can make a better decision, more informed decision. If you look at our website, so much of it is education, and you can go and learn a ton on our website and never call us, never use us. But if it makes you better at making marketing decisions, great. I'm happy. So gaining that trust. So we're moving into pricing. Oh, do we have a question? We have a question. What about having transparent pricing on our website for specific services, i.e. social media management, SEO, PPC, etc.? I'm going to throw this out to you, gentlemen.
I think it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you are more time intensive, like Mitch, I think you should just be pushing to a meeting. Like vagueness draws, enough information, enough case studies, enough lead magnets on the website, a pop-up for a white paper or a case study, things that drive email subscription, but most of the call to action on your site should be pushing people to book a meeting with you. But if you're really, you know, like Jason was saying, going for scale and you want to be less time intensive, then you have the prices on the site, give all the information, and you'll have a higher quality of lead when they do really come through, but lower number overall.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think you can put pricing for your foot in the door service,
Right.
but then let them know why you have it there.
Yeah.
Like I had many years ago, this company I've never heard of called me, and I rocked the call. Like I just owned it, right? Like I got off, I'm like, there's no way they're not going with me. And they invited me to their headquarters, which was at the time when I lived in Atlanta. So I go in this boardroom. This is the biggest boardroom I've ever been in. Like the table looked like, you know, the Scooby-Doo boardroom that just goes, you know, like
No intimidation there.
no intimidation. And all these suits come in. And so I back then I was pitching. And so I pitched like a $10,000 website. At the time, like that was a big deal for me. They all laughed. I left the meeting. I go back to the office. My team was like, who'd you meet with? I'm like, some company, Brookshire something. They're like, Berkshire Hathaway? And they're like, yeah. I didn't meet with Warren, so I wouldn't be that dumb, but I was still dumb. And they were expecting a $300,000 website. So I lost the deal on pricing, meaning if you do put pricing on your website and you are wanting to go after bigger accounts, you can lose more than you would if you didn't. So.
Yep. And it goes back to your point of in the first 15 minutes, find out what the budget is.
Did you charge them before you flew out there? You got nothing.
Oh, I was in Atlanta. No, it was just a drive.
Oh, okay. Because I was like flying out for a prospect.
Oh, we used to do that for like.
I guess now, now it's all virtual. But wow. No, I agree. I think you never know what kind of leads are going to come inbound, especially nowadays with doing so much content marketing and stuff. And you know, a startup I advise has pricing on their site, and they just got, you know, and then their products are, you know, $1,000 to $2,000. It's a virtual event management company, and they got an inbound request from a 45,000 person company that I won't name, and they're like, okay, this is actually going to be like more, you know, a much larger project, but they looked through the stuff on our site. So they came inbound, they wrote that they only have a budget of 1,000 or 2,000, but it, you know, the opportunity of working with that company. So they're hoping that it's going to be a foot in the door and they're just going to go with it, but they shot themselves in the foot, like Jason said, being able to, you know, get 10X down on the first deal.
And to answer the question too, for the person in the audience is, it comes down to, are you going to be proactively always trying to get new clients, cold calls, cold emails, etc. You know, and if you do put all your pricing on the website, you may get less click-throughs, but the ones you do get, know your pricing, and if they're reaching out, they're serious, right? So
yeah, I think one of the most difficult lessons for me, because I had my own agency tiny little agency for 7 or 8 years. And it took me a while to figure out, you know, I'm a marketer. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. I don't want to sell. I don't want to prospect. I don't want to be the janitor. I don't want to hire and fire and do the paperwork. And like, it took me a while to go, you know, I'm really not good at running a company. And unfortunately, for a lot of marketers, what we do is I love social media. I love doing PPC. But then you don't realize I have to sell it. It's not enough to be good at whatever, you know, the marketing skill is. I have to sell it, which is where people like Jason and Andrew come in to help you figure out, how do I sell this now? So I think what people on this call are dealing with is, okay, I'm real good at what I do, but how do I sell this?
Just let that show through, let that shine through. I think that, you know, don't sell, like Jason said, just talk, just share.
You got to have a process though.
You got to have a process.
You know, you have to have a process. You can't just wing it, you know, which is what I was doing. And I would go sell, and then I would have to go execute. And then I didn't, and then I wasn't selling. And then I ran out of my pipeline. So it was this constant back and forth and back and forth. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about.
So I think another thing sorry, not on pricing, but really important there that I've learned over the years is, and I think these guys and Marilyn will agree, is that the magic is in the follow-ups too. You know, like you crush a good meeting if you don't have, like you were talking about, the process. A client a long time ago was like, your magic is in your follow-up, Andrew. And I was like, I write that down. The magic's in the follow-up.
Tell us more about that. Tell us about your follow-up.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you have
just,
you have that great meeting. You crush that meeting. You have a great meeting. Then what?
Literally Google or iPhone reminders. I don't use the CRM. I'm not going for massive scale. I'm like, yeah, I just crushed this meeting. Remind me in 3 days to follow up with blank, 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 or whatever. And then that's 2 seconds. It's a process right after the meeting. I remind myself, everything done by the phone. Very easy.
Well, what's the follow-up? I want details. What's in the follow-up?
Oh, what is the follow-up?
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm not going super time deep like Mitch and offering them another call. I think I'm more towards Jason, you know, like, hey, you know, here's a recording of our initial call, you know, that you paid for, you know, was this amazing? Was this great? You know, it really depends on where they came from. You know, like we have partnerships with agencies that feed us like referral work, and they're coming in super warm, and, you know, like I'm already recommended. Like Mitch said, referral stuff is, you know, very, very limited amount of sales work you need to do, because they've either seen a case study or heard verbatim from someone you've helped make millions of dollars about how valuable you are. And that's obviously much easier. But if it's like someone I had a tweet thread with, and then they booked a meeting, and now we're pitching them from, you know, 10 time zones over, you know, a follow-up is more like, you know, what are your thoughts on this? Is this the right time? Do you want to move forward? It's like more questions, like Jason said, you know, never pushy. You know, I could care less if you really move forwards or not, because we have tons of business. It's more like, I really want to help you, and you let me know when it's going to work for you, and something very short. And, you know, offering, do they need any more value? Is there anyone else you'd like me to speak to on your team, knowing that they're already the decision maker, and something like that.
Nice. Okay, so I have a question here. He says this conversation is too general. I am interested in social media pricing. How do you price the many moving parts of social media marketing?
I always priced on value. So, and also expectation. So at the end of the day, you're going to look at, a lot of agencies look at, well, let me charge on time and materials. And I think that's a mistake. I think it's a good way to start. But I think it's a bad way to scale over time. Mm-hmm. So what I would do is every quarter, and we still do this, every quarter we look at the value that we delivered to our clients. And then we average it up and we divide it by 10, wanting a 10x. If they give us $1, we want them to get $10 back. So that's the baseline. That's the floor of what we would charge for that particular service. Now, as I'm asking questions with the prospect, if I understand that their expectations are like the Berkshire Hathaway, way more, I'm going to charge more. I can't tell you how many deals I went into where we were talking with companies that were like, I can never take your pricing to the boss. They would think I'm like I made the wrong decision because we were too low. That happened a lot early in our career. So I would find out their expectations. And if their expectations were above our pricing, we'd have variable pricing and it would move up.
Right.
And then I've also seen agencies on the social media front do performance-based models. They crush it, where they'll do a test project with their client or their prospect, and they'll figure out, so let's say they're doing YouTube ads, and they'll go, what are you willing to pay for a YouTube ad? And they'll be like, I'm willing to pay $25 a lead. And then they'll do a test and they'll be like, oh, wow, we can get these at $5. That means for every lead, we can make $15 on top. So they're going to do a performance model. So there's many different facets. You just don't want to charge on materials, time and materials.
Yep. Yeah, there's also like what the market will bear. I mean, there's plenty of competitors out there that do have transparent pricing that you can look at and see, but But for me, our particular agency only does 2 social media services. We do social media monitoring and, engaging off of your own pages, what I call off-page social media marketing. And that has one fee because it's much more time intensive. Literally, we own and manage every single social media channel off of your own pages. So what are the groups? What are the hashtags? What are the keywords that your potential users are using? That is a monitoring service, kind of like online presence management, but for social media. And then the other is your on-page social media services. So if you can kind of just separate it into 2 simple boxes, just make 2 set prices and don't have a million different services, because put yourself in the client's shoes, right? They think they need everything. So if you give them a little tiny menu of all these different things, they're going to end up asking, what does it cost to have you do all of this stuff? But if people are coming to you and asking for one specific thing, then only focus on that. Take the rest of the stuff that you are offering that no one's ever buying and just remove it and focus on that one thing. Like Jason said, what is the thing that's 10xing the value for your clients, and price based on that. So I think Jason talked about pricing based on what their expectations are already. Like I mentioned, my client that has the virtual corporate event management thing, they were doing exactly what Jason was saying. They're pricing themselves too low and losing out on really big opportunities. And then a mentor, not even me, another mentor made them realize, you should price based on the budget they had previously to do in-person events. And it's really refreshing to hear Jason talk about that, because I think a lot of agency owners don't want to say that they change their pricing based on who they're talking to. But I mean, in the end, as long as you're going to 10x that value for them, you want to get your foot in the door and you want to work with them. So the service might also change a little bit, Jason, and let me know if you agree, because they're spending more. You're like, okay, we can do, our service changes based on what we're pricing as well, because we have to make it work and we have to make it, fit our bottom line at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Go for it, bud.
I was going to answer Alan's question too. And I guess from my personal experience, I've got the social media platform, the portal itself, which is white label promo. I've got a $30 package, a $55 package, and that's the commodity model. So I have X number of subscribers. And some of them are just happy using the portal. They love it. But more importantly, I stay in touch with them. I monitor them, I coach them, I mentor them. And over time, they slowly end up seeing that what I can offer them, they upgrade to me doing all the work. So as Andrew was mentioning, we own the platform for them. So we do all the content, we do the graphics, we do the narrative, we do the hashtags, we build the schedules for them. Everything's in Promo Republic. They review and they approve it. And this is really the sweet spot, in my opinion, building, an agency that does that kind of a cookie cutter / customize platform, because you start getting that reoccurring revenue. And if you structure it, if you've got in-house talent or freelancers, and you build a really good clientele, over time, you understand what they're looking for, their brand, if it's seasonal, and you keep them for a really long time. That's been my experience and what we've enjoyed. So to answer your question, I do have packages for that. Fully, we own the platform for you based on how many pieces you want us to create, how many posts, how many platforms, and that's a really good margin maker.
So different models. I'm hearing is, there's different models, and depending on who your customer is, different models can work. So I hope I'm going to ask for last call questions. If you've got them, somebody's got them. Somebody's got one.
I want to add one thing to Alan's. I want to give him actionable thing to go do. I want you to think, what do you want to make in the next year, you personally? And then backwards into that, what does the agency need to do? Okay. Then once you do that, and then once you figure that out, how many clients at your current pricing? And if you create a pro forma out, what you'll find is you'll go, oh, I want to double my business, but I have to double the amount of clients. That's where a lot of people go wrong. Where a lot of times you can look at, how do I double my pricing or quadruple my pricing? Still providing the value to the clients. And so if you do that, build that pro forma, I think then you can start figuring out what are all the what does all the pricing need to be? So just kind of back up into it.
Yeah, if I scale and I double my business. Sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
No, that was me. I was just saying reverse engineering your pricing works a lot as well, like Jason said. And it doesn't have to be the very first upfront pricing. I don't talk about that as pricing. It's like the lifetime value of the client. How do we increase retention? How do we increase the lifetime value of the client? Then you have to close less. So we talked a lot about that foot in the door, like loss leader or that lead gen pricing, user acquisition deal that you're giving people in the beginning, but then how do you upsell, you know? So if you're Alan and you have tons of different social media services, maybe you put just one thing that, you know, really crushes and closes for people on the site, clearly priced, pitch it. And then as you're working with them, you know, we try to make decisions for clients at our agency based on data. So as things start to work, you can be like, you know what, we should probably start this other social media channel. We should start these ads. We should do this PR campaign, these other things. And the data is showing that it, you know, the small tests are working, and then it's very easy to increase that retention and that lifetime value.
And Alan said, thank you for all of your answers. Last call for questions. If you've got them, we want to answer them. Any other last thoughts from the three of you on positioning, selling, and pricing?
I think if you position in the right way, where you're telling the right story, which is their story, and you're putting out enough information, like for example, if you go to our website and even go to our about page, right, jasonswank.com/about, I don't talk anything about me selling an agency or any of that until the very bottom. It's all focused on the agency visitor that's coming there. And here's the important stat: most people don't engage with us for 2 to 3 years. And I love that, because we've created this really good moat, because we put out 80% or 85% of our knowledge for free. So we're just trying to be a resource we wish we had when we were running the first agency. And so if you do that, you know, when they come to you, they're going to be ready. And you can build this sales system or this prospecting system, because if you have a healthy pipeline, now you can pick and choose. And if you pick and choose, that means you're charging the right amount. If you're charging the right amount, you're making the profit. You can actually hire the right people. And then you don't have to do all the things, you know, because I got to a point where I was wanting to quit my agency. We're a couple $1 million agency, wanting to quit. I tried to go get a job at NASCAR. They asked me 2 questions. What do you want to do every day? What don't you ever want to do? And by answering those questions, I was like, oh, I can do that in the agency. And then the agency scaled to, you know, over 8 figures. So, you know, it just create all that, get the right systems and foundation in place, and then the pricing will work itself out.
Yeah.
Love that.
Getting the right foundation in place takes time. And there is that element of, what do I really want to be doing every day? What will feel good to me to do every day? How do I do that? And then what are the processes and what's the model that I have to set up to make that be my day and be my clients? And that is a self-discovery process. And it's a process of, all right, now that I know that that's who I am and who I want to be, how do I make that actually happen in the world, in who I'm attracting, in the processes that I have in place and the people that I'm working with? You know, that's the whole sauce of creating your own agency and of being your own boss. And it is a process, and it's really challenging, and it's also really, really rewarding. So
the one question I didn't see, or that we didn't really talk about, and if there's people here that are thinking of starting an agency or in the early stages, was how do you build the credibility? Like, you know, if you haven't been working in the industry for 10 years, 20 years, and you want to get into it kind of like I did, my background has always been technology, but not on the digital marketing side. And what I found was, and kind of what I described earlier, is self-educated, but did everything, built my company myself. So I did all the legwork, the grunt work, did everything myself. And then when I do the research for a client, I can prove to them what I'm explaining because I do it live. I show them the results. So like if I do a search on anything about my company, my website shows up on the first page without any kind of paid digital advertising. I explain how you do that. And so it's really important for them to get the groundwork, to understand how they can prove their value to the client quickly. And that's what I struggled with in my first year for sure. Wrap my head around, how do I build credibility? How do I show the potential client that I really know what I'm doing? So a lot of startups struggle with that. So
Andrew, thank you for sharing that, Mitch. Andrew, you have a new book out.
I do.
Tell us
We
about
don't
your
need to talk
book.
about that. I guess I should be a good marketer. It's called The Startup Growth Book, and it came out today after a year of work on Amazon's trending #1 new marketing release today on Amazon, startupgrowthbook.com. But I wanted to say one last thing about social media marketing services. You know, I think we don't talk about it enough. A lot of social media marketing is just vanity metrics for clients, and it's not really driving massive business growth unless they're spending money on social media advertising. I can't tell you how many times we get inbound. Oh my God, thank you for pulling that up. But I can't tell you how many times we get inbound leads from people like, we need social media marketing help. And then we get on the call, or I have them fill out questionnaire before the call, like Jason said, to try and qualify them. He's walking out. He doesn't, he wants, no, I'm kidding. They get on the call and they say they need social media advertising. And those are two very different things. Running ads on Facebook and Instagram is not social media marketing, in my opinion. And so I see a lot of times, you know, they're focused on likes and follows and a lot of these vanity metrics. And I really do believe that the most important thing you can do for your clients in social media is off of their own pages. If there's a small business, especially not like Lotus Cars and huge clients that Jason's working with, but if these are small businesses and startups like Mitch and I work with, they're not getting massive amount of eyeballs for the first several years of creating their organic content on their page. So to be honest with your clients from the very beginning and explain to them that, you know, social media should just be a small part of their marketing playbook. And I think it's a natural, easy way for you to upsell people to more meaningful marketing channels that are really going to grow their business. But if you show that passion, you care about their company more than anybody else, and you're not selling them and pitching them, and you do a shitload of back end work, like Mitch said, you're going to close 100%.
Yeah. Okay. I want all of you, I want my panelists to put, we got another, we got another book.
Jason, I'll trade you. Jason, I'll trade you book. Jason, I'll trade you book for book if you want to go.
There you go.
Do you got a website that I can go to for your book?
Just
I'll
get
put
it. Just
Link.com.
on Amazon. You just go to Amazon, type in my name, you'll see it.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it. Now, what I want from my panelists is please go into chat and put your LinkedIn, your email, your contact information, so that folks who want to get in touch with you have a way to do that, if you would kindly. And I'm going to go to Amazon right now and look for your book.
The best way to contact me, everybody, if you want, just go to the website, check out the podcast.
JasonSwank.com.
Yeah, pretty hard. Yeah, we've been doing a podcast for 7 years and interviewed amazing guests, from Seth Godin to Gary Vaynerchuk to some really amazing agency owners you've never even heard of. So
nice.
Oh, very good. All right. And here's his book, Accelerating Your Agency, an 8-System Playbook for Growing Your Agency Faster. All right, gentlemen, I have so enjoyed talking with you today. I think, did you put into chat? Okay, so we've got Mitch Poirier is on LinkedIn, jasonwank.com, and Andrew is at startupgrowthbook.com. I'm Marilyn Haywood Page. I'm at Marilyn@page.black. And that is not a .com, that is a page.black. It's been really great having you all here. You guys stuck around for the whole 50 minutes. So thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you. Thank you to Promo Republic for hosting us. And y'all have a great day.
thank you.
Everybody, nice to meet you, Mitch, Jason, Marilyn.
You too. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.